Hi, I'm Tom Scioli, creator of Godzilla's Monsterpiece Theater. It's a new comic series coming from IDW. The first issue is out in October, and the Final Order Cutoff is next Monday, which means that's the date. Comic book stores have to send in their orders to let them know how many copies to print to send out. So if you want a copy of Godzilla's Monsterpiece Theater, let your comics retailer know ahead of time, so there'll be a copy there waiting for you. We saw Alien Romulus.
Alien Romulus, I gotta say, is one of the best movies I've seen in the theater in a long time.
It was really good. I was in the right mood for a new Alien movie. It delivered. It was a lot of fun. It was it had the greatest hits, but it was also fresh. Had a fresh approach.
It looked the part. That director, Fede Alvarez,
What else has he done?
He did he was like I feel like he worked with Sam Raimi, like he's a protege. He did the Evil Dead remake.
Okay.
Which I haven't seen, and then he did a movie called, I think it was called Don't Breathe. It was a thriller. I haven't watched that one either, but they got good reviews on those.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of those, but yeah, this was incredible. It's so hard to find like a fresh way in.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody, I loved Prometheus. I liked Prometheus a lot from day one. I mean, there obviously there've been, a lot of Alien movies that aren't directed by Ridley Scott, but it's, big shoes to fill, as always.
This one took place between Alien and Aliens.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't put too much thought into the timeline. The title, Alien Romulus, made me think, it's like an Alien Star Trek crossover.
Oh my god!
Because the Romulans from the planet Romulus, but okay, no such luck.
Worf shows up.
The Romulans are physically identical to Vulcans, but they're culturally completely different. When it's at this mining colony, I thought, this is like a prequel to Aliens. This is that mining colony or whatever that whatever that colony was.
Oh, Hadley's Hope.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
it's a whole planet that was they were just mining this entire planet and
mining to depletion.
Oh my god! And it is the Weyland-Yutani Corp. They're at it again.
Yeah, that no good corporation. And they, it was pretty bleak. They did a great job of setting it up, kind of like Rey in, the Star Wars sequel trilogy, where it's okay, we're going to show you just what a shitty deal this person has, and you're going to want them to, get out of it however they can. And it was, the deck was so stacked against the people in this mining, and they keep changing moving the goalposts and stuff. And I thought okay, this is how you get when you want to get your audience on board with your story. This is for okay, if you're young right now at this moment, you probably feel everything this character is feeling, that you're following the rules, you're doing what you're supposed to, you're working hard, and they just keep taking away, they keep moving the goal, but you're never basically you're never going to own your own home,
and she completed what they asked. It was 5-year contract, and they're oh yeah, you owe us 5 more years.
Right, it's you just paid off your last student loan, and then they're telling you that there's some technicality that says oh no,
you owe $100,000.
Yeah, exactly. But then you're on board. You're okay, what's she got to do to get off this planet? And plus, this planet gets zero sunlight. It's not even you get sunlight one day a year, or you get zero sun. So you are never going to see the sun unless you get off this planet. And they've made it practically impossible to get off that planet because this stuff is a shit job nobody wants. And so the only way they can get people to do it is by kind of
trapping them
there. Yeah,
it's kind of the setup is a slasher movie. The beginning, the first act of a slasher movie.
Well, because that was the thing that I mean, this isn't something I noticed, but this is something I was always told about the Alien movies, the original Alien and stuff, is that it's it's all middle-aged people. It's all these professionals. It's not some young glamorous cast, and that's why it's so realistic and believable, is that it's just all these middle-aged people who are just hate their jobs basically. So then it's oh, you know how this series has always been middle-aged people who hate their jobs? Now it's going to be like a bunch of teenagers and stuff. You know?
Yeah, they're instead of the van, they're heading to Crystal Lake. They're like, we're going to get the mini ship and like.
Exactly. Yeah, they're going into this situation and they're like, it's going to be great. It's going to be easy. We're going to be in and out. And it's like, okay, we're watching an alien movie. This is not going to go good.
And they finally got a space station in there because a couple drafts of other alien movies featured like a space station prominently.
But we've never gotten a space station in an alien movie. You either are in a spaceship, like a giant spaceship that may as well be a space station, or you're like landing on a planet.
Yeah. So we finally got our space station, which is pretty cool, and a lot of gimmicks too. I love the like once they're on the space station, there's like some like anti-gravity.
Yeah, they have to like turn on the gravity goes on and off. They have to, and that was well thought out. That's something that like you never really think about because I don't remember there being like a 0G in an alien movie. Now this was always like one of the rules of Star Wars. You know, during the George Lucas era, I guess it changed, but that Star Wars is space opera. And I guess Star Trek is space opera, and maybe Alien is space opera, like horror, but still space opera. But one of the rules of space opera is there's no 0G. Like it's not science fiction. There's nothing scientific about it. These are, you know, romantic adventure stories that just happen to take place on a spaceship. So you're never going to get a 0G. And then as Star Wars got further and further, because I think there is some 0G in some of the prequels. Maybe, maybe the third prequel at least had some 0G. But I know, like that was one of those things. Like one of the first episodes of Battlestar Galactica, they're in like 0G. And it's like, you guys, you fucked it up. You're looking a little hokey. You'd never see Han Solo in 0G, but you know, here's
in the later movies, like we got Princess Leia's corpse, like
Princess Leia in 0G. Yeah, it
was weird.
Yeah, exactly. Like it is.
It's not
like,
right.
Yeah, it is one of those like unspoken rules where it's like, yeah, don't have 0G in space opera, but of course rules are meant to be broken. But yeah, I feel like the third prequel, like when they're fighting Count Dooku or something, I feel like there might have been some 0G on that spaceship.
Yeah, that's how. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do an episode specifically about episode 3. Episode 3, it's like, okay, you gave me what I asked for, but it's still wrong. Like, take it back to the kitchen. Yes, you took my notes from the first 2 tries at this, but it's still not working. So you gotta, I don't know what to tell you. You fucked it up. Yeah. So this has 0G in it, and actually, like this movie, I was on the edge of my seat. It was
awesome.
Thrills and chills, very fun, very scary, jump scares and everything. You know, gross out moments, just really wonderful. But the one part of it that, although it worked and I liked it and it was a cool idea, there's like an extended 0G sequence where it's like, okay, I get what you're doing, and yes, it's clever, it's cool, but just forget the 0G thing. Just have them running around with guns shooting aliens. Like keep it simple. You don't got to reinvent. Like you had enough inventive stuff. You don't got to reinvent the wheel for every single bit of it.
You never catch Ripley like doing that.
Yeah, and it just kind of draws your attention to just kind of the special effects. It's like it's just like all these like droplets of CGI alien blood acid that's just floating there, and it's like, you know, like maybe somebody could have, like maybe Stanley Kubrick could have pulled something like that off, but it's always going to look bad.
Yeah, and like
CGI spittle.
Yeah,
this is not working. That sequence, like they're like, okay, we're on the bottom floor. This acid eats through. So if you shoot one of those things in the acid, then we're all going to get sucked out into outer space. Like, what if they just didn't have that element? And what if for that last act, she just kind of had to shoot her way out? But it's like, isn't it challenging enough? It's one person with one gun against an army of aliens instead of, you know, those scenes we've seen where it's like all the space marines and stuff.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, wouldn't you have rather seen her run around and go and getting cornered and stuff? Like even if, yeah, it's derivative or whatever, like, wouldn't you rather have seen that than like this scene where she's like, again, it was clever. I was into it in the moment. It was just kind of like, after it was over, I kept thinking about it, and I'm like, that's the week. That was the week. Everything else worked 100%. But then when they're like, You know, oh, let's flip around the acid, and it was tense. I was like, oh, are they going to do it?
You could have, if you were so worried, they were so worried about like the acid eating through the bottom of the ship. They could have just been like, if you don't make it to the other side by the time the acid eats through it, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
Like that's all they could. They didn't have to do much. But
that's what they would have done if like CGI didn't exist and they didn't have like this endless budget for like visual effects. They'd be like, okay, we just got to come up with like a clever. So like a little race against the clock could have done the trick. And would have been more effective, more interesting. Cost less money too. You know?
Alien acid blood is such a great feature of the aliens. I know they use it very sparingly, like throughout the other ones. This was like they're like we really need to feature the acid. Like,
yeah, that's one of those things I think about in the first Alien. Is like there's only like one or two bloodletting moments, and it's like you see that acid just goes and goes and goes, and then you cut to aliens, and they're like, there's like acid splashing everywhere, and then it's just like, oh, I gotta take my
armor off,
my shoulder plate off or whatever. You know, it's like if they were playing by the rules, like everybody in that thing would be a puddle. You know?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes when Hicks gets the acid on his armor in Aliens. But this, they're like, I think acid was like third bill.
Yeah, the acid blood was like little too much on the fore. But again, these are nitpicks. Like overall, it was like just
my nitpick really was that they did the "Get away from her, you bitch" quote again.
Okay,
which was like, I'm like, give me a break. In a movie with like a synthetic human.
Yeah,
I was just like.
Lots of great surprises. Great, you know, they need. You know how they have like different aliens that like the bull alien and like aliens, dog alien and stuff.
Love that.
She needs to use that line on the dog alien. Get away from her, you bitch.
It's Lassie.
Yeah.
It got Lassie. The facehugger got Lassie.
Xenomorph that looks a little like Lassie. Just the thing of having like a little. And like economic reality has always been part of the Alien movies, but like having it like this economic reality, and then they're gonna do this like little kind of like almost like a pirate raid, or like they're just gonna like steal the copper piping out of like an abandoned building, or the equivalent of that, and make the money they need to get, and they're gonna get in and out, and it's easy, and it's all young people, and then. They get picked off.
And I like the freeze-dried facehuggers.
The way like the plot unfolded, like of just sort of matter-of-fact stuff, and like, okay, we need this to get, and then like by getting this, it causes this and stuff. Just really satisfying.
And a lot of great imagery too. Like, so like at the beginning of it, they got they must have found the original alien floating in like. Somehow it like frozen this like piece of coal or something.
Like the alien that like Ripley shot out of the airlock in the first Alien. They found that, and I guess it was like crusted with ice. Or something, because it seemed like it was picking up. They found that, and like they're doing all kinds of experiments with it.
After they killed it, the great image of it, like it was up in the rafters, like it's like corpse, like just hanging there, was so cool. And then we got Ash. Ian Holm was back.
It was fun to see him. It's just the special effect was so bizarre that it's almost like, can't you just like recast, like just have a new robot?
Yeah.
Like it was a nice throwback, but I felt that the special effect was a little off. The CGI was a little off.
Yeah, I thought the de-aging looked better in The Irishman. And then there's a new synthetic.
Yeah, that was her brother. I like that too, that like she had a synthetic...
Andy,
yeah, she had a synthetic brother who was the character like you really were sort of like rooting, but like you didn't want anything bad to happen to him. But yeah, he's synthetic. He's a robot.
It would have been funnier if he instead of doing the "Get away from her, you bitch" line, he does "They mostly come at night, mostly." That would have been hilarious. Or like some like deep cut like quote. Yeah. You're so bad. He's like,
yeah, like he's just like, and I keep waiting for her to say like, back up, give me a little, get out of my grill, give me some, because this guy is like so, like she's got to be like grossed out by what a You know, what a bootlicker he is.
He's like, Vasquez, can I clean your shoes for you, Vasquez?
Sick burn, Vasquez!
Yeah, she says something ridiculous like, you stink, and he's like,
yeah, you poop your pants.
That's the funniest thing I've heard, Vasquez!
No,
he's like, I love you, Vasquez. She's like, what'd you say? He's like, nothing. Marry me, Vasquez. She's like, did you say something? He's like, no.
Yeah, that guy.
Vasquez.
We need to do like a cut where it's just like all the scenes of that guy, you know, and like pausing where like he's like, asking her for a high five and just like sort of pausing like he has to keep waiting.
Sick bird. She's like, well, I'm heading to the mess hall. He's like, marry me, Vasquez. She's like, what'd you say? He's like, I said, like, die out there, bury me out there. Just great cast. The lead, Kaylee Spaney, like, she was in Mayor of Easttown. If you haven't seen that, that's where I only know her from that. Like, it's a limited series on HBO Max. It's great. Kate Winslet's in it, and she has a pretty big role in that.
Like, it felt modest too. Like, I think that's smart for an alien movie. Like, not to like try to overreach too much. You know, kind of keep it tight.
Yeah, it didn't get too big for its britches.
Yeah, but then it did kind of, broaden that world a little. Like, you got to see like watching that space station's orbit decay as it goes into like rings of, like the rings of Saturn, like the rings of this planet.
When I was little, I always hoped there'd be movies with more action involving. I always thought rings around a planet so cool and like.
You're so right, because it is like when you think about space as a kid, that is one of the first things you think of is like the rings of Saturn. And of course you think like, oh, can you like walk on those? Yes. And then you find out, no, you can't. And then it's like, oh, it's just like gas or whatever. But then it's like, oh, well, actually it's like little rocks or whatever,
yeah.
So yeah.
I could have used
that. It does feel
little.
underrepresented in science fiction, that the rings, hanging out on the rings. I remember as a kid, there was some ballet or something. I think it was like The Little Prince or something, but there was like a ballet, it was like live action and stuff. But there was a point where they're like ice skating on the rings of Saturn.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like real bad special effect, like just like bad green screen. But.
They get involved with the Prometheus black goop again in this. And that thing at the end.
Yeah, that thing at the end.
Oh my God. It was
super creepy, but it was also like, there was a version of that in Prometheus.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like a little more like, monstrous or whatever, or like half baked or whatever.
Yeah.
Which made it a little scarier, but it wasn't just out of whole cloth like Prometheus. That was kind of like what the aliens who like brought the xenomorphs or were taken over by the xenomorphs. That's kind of what they looked like.
I do, even though Weyland-Yutani sucks, I do like seeing more of their like operation. It's fascinating, like the mind, like
yeah, I'm sure there's like books and things that you can find where it's like diagrams and stuff. But yeah, the
hull of that ship had like all like the coal or whatever or the mineral in it. I thought that was a good finale there. And you got the spacesuit.
Yeah, the return of the spacesuit.
But yeah,
that spacesuit, like that scene when that like sort of last scene in Alien when Sigourney Weaver when Ripley has to get in that spacesuit. Like that spacesuit seems so cozy.
Oh, it does.
And that,
oh my God,
you're safe and warm, and like nothing's gonna hurt you now because you're in this spacesuit. Yeah,
I love it. I would like sleep in that, like, or go camping.
Yeah, because it's kind of like cushioned or something. Like it's.
Somebody sees me out in a tent in the woods. I'm like in the tent in just the spacesuit. There was a lot of CGI, but they did. It seems like they kept it like. More on the practical if they could. There was fog, like a fog machine and stuff. That was cool.
Yeah, it felt like there was some like face huggers on sticks and stuff, which I'm all for. I'm all for.
We were talking. They used like there was a remote control face hugger too.
Oh, nice.
Like a radio controlled face hugger.
Oh, wow.
Just a great flick. It's actually like a smash. I think it made like 400 million so far. For an alien flick, like
yeah, because I know they don't have, it's not like a given, like an alien movie comes out and sometimes it doesn't, some do better than others and stuff. So I'm glad to hear that.
This was a big hit, and I hope we get to watch another one.